Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to see everyone. Hope you're enjoying the nice weather out there, and it's good to see a lot of you. Here on Zoom as well. Looks like we've got quite the crowd. As per usual, we will get our in-person lunch started here at noon, and then we will regather at 12:30 for a regular process, if that works for everyone. So I'll dispense with the food puns for the time being, but enjoy your lunch, and we'll talk to you in about half an hour. So sounds like it's time to begin. So if I could ask all of you to stand up. I don't know if I'm on there. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? All you diners. All right, Matt. Thank you. I think that's Matt. If I could ask all of you, we'd like to get this meeting started. So if I could have you all join me in standing up, and then Andy, if I can put you on the spot, since I can see you the most clearly here close to the camera, if I could have you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. And then I think today Jim Kester is going to be doing the invocation for us.
Yep.
I want to say something very intentional and inspirational. Recently in my Bible reading, I've come across this ongoing truth that God intervenes in the affairs of man. And boy, do we need him to intervene now, especially with what's going on, not only in our own country, but internationally. And it's just fascinating to reflect back on God's faithfulness to man and nations over time. This morning, I was reading one of Martin Luther King Jr.'s prayers. They're fascinating. None of them were written before he prayed them. He prayed them spontaneously. But I would like to read a prayer from David, from the book of Psalms. You know, David faced a giant that should have killed him. Did you ever wonder why he picked up 5 stones? Was it in case he missed the first time he let the stone fly? The scriptures tell us that there were 5 giants. He had 4 brothers. He had a father that was a giant, that is Goliath. And David faced that with a great faith. I just read this prayer of David as our prayer today. It is from Psalm 67. God, be merciful unto us and bless us, and cause your face to shine upon us, Selah, that thy way may be known upon earth, thy saving health among all nations. Let the people praise thee, O God. Let all the people praise thee. O let the nations be glad and sing for joy. For thou shalt judge the people righteously and govern the nations upon earth. Selah. Let the people praise thee, O God. Let all the people praise thee. Then shall the earth yield her increase, and God, even our own God, shall bless us. God shall bless us, and all the ends of the earth shall fear him. Amen.
All right, thank you, Jim. And if I could have everyone have a seat, please, and we'll get things started here. And I know, thank you, Bob Grady, for notification there on who's all there, but we actually have what appear to be are some visitors here on Zoom. So I'd love for you all, I think Meg, I see you, and I think I had seen Tom. Yeah. So if, Meg, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and saying hello.
Sure. Meg Wiesner. I'm in the Vail Rotary Club. I'm a charter member from 2006. And we were just starting to see how hybrid meetings work. And I was invited to join you here. So thank you.
Great.
Thanks to everyone I know out there. I know a few of you.
Thanks for joining us, Meg. It's great to have you. And Tom, if you wouldn't mind unmuting and saying hello. I know we've had you with you before.
Hopefully I can get through this without dogs barking. I've got a yard guy here. So Tom Nelson, Bisbee Club, and Rotaract Interact co-chair along with Mike Lane. And that's why I came to watch the guy from Pima.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you, Tom. Thanks so much for visiting. And then I think in person there, we have an old friend, not a friend that's old, but a friend that we've had for a long time of the club. Alita, I think you are in attendance today. So if you would mind just waving and saying hello there. I think it's a pretty small group and we're all familiar with you, but it's great to see you. All right. And I'm not sure if there's, oh, there you
very
go.
honored to be here again. I used to be in this club a long time ago. So great people here. What else do you want me to say? That's it. Oh yeah, where are you guys, Al and Sharon? I was expecting you here. So hello and big hugs.
We're here. Oh, hugs back. We're just, we couldn't make it, but I can see you in the little picture.
Great. Well, Alita, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us, and hope you're having a good company there. I think you're at the cool table. I'm not sure if there's any cool tables or if they're all cool tables, but thanks for joining us. All right. Well, I think today is a good day for us. We have another wonderful speaker, and believe he's there in person. But Greg Wilson is with Pima Applied Technology. Has worked with Pima Community College for over 20 years. He developed training programs with industry partners when he joined the college in 2001, and he has served as the Dean of Applied Technology since 2014. He leads some of the college's exciting technical programs, including automation, robotics, automotive, aviation, building, construction, computer-aided design, energy technology, machining, and welding. Goodness, it's a lot. Prior to joining Pima, Greg developed industry training curricula with NCCER. He graduated from the University of Virginia and earned his master's degree from Duke University. So I'm really excited to hear this presentation today with applied technology that's fueling the economic growth. So please help me in welcoming Greg. Thanks so much, Greg.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Jimmy. Thanks for the introduction, and certainly thank you for the opportunity to speak with each of you today. We always enjoy sharing what's going on at Pima Community College, especially in the context of economic development, which is really what our division is about, preparing the workforce so long-term, we can attract more business to the area and help raise salaries and just the economy for all of us. But anybody take classes at Pima Community College? Anybody know anybody taking classes at Pima Community College? Usually that gets all the hands. Has anyone been on a campus recently? No. Okay, so I'm the Dean of Applied Technology. I'm based at downtown campus, which is at the intersection of Speedway and Stone. The hard thing is, if you drive by, you won't necessarily see all of the construction that's taking place because it's on the inside of the campus. But if you go up Main, you should be able to see the blue roof of our brand new automotive building. And then just across the parking lot, we're building a new 3-story, 100,000 square foot advanced manufacturing building, which is going to be fantastic. And so I can publicly take the opportunity to thank our board and Chancellor Lee Lambert, who my understanding is was probably the last person from Pima to speak to you. Might have been a few years, but under his leadership, we've certainly seen a change where we are investing a lot of resources into making sure that we're addressing the need for a skilled workforce, as our business partners have always asked for. But if you haven't been to the college, I will start the PowerPoint and just kind of just give you an overview of where Pima is now. As Jamie mentioned, I've been at the college since 2001. And I started as a manager in the workforce unit, which was the group, or is the group, that works very closely with our industry partners. And just to kind of give you the big picture, the workforce group was always kind of treated like the redheaded stepchild, because we did things differently. We weren't operating like a traditional educational institution. We were addressing business needs, so we needed to turn things around quickly. If Raytheon needed training in soldering or whatever, they weren't expecting us to deliver a semester-long class that meets twice a week. So, you know, we would put something on site at their location or at one of our campuses. They'd be done in 2 or 3 weeks, like a boot camp. And then those folks, you know, they've been upskilled and now they can take on that extra work. So that's the background I come from. It was the same thing at NCCER. Again, listening to industry, they drive our programs, they drive our curriculum, and they help focus what faculty teach. So just basically, we'll kind of share a little bit about the college. I'll share some of the newer things we've done at the college to develop the workforce. Then I'll get a little specific on the programs in my division, and then share a couple of pictures of the buildings. And I actually brought a, actually, yeah, I'll pass this around. That way you can kind of look at it while I speak. But this is somewhat a map of the advanced manufacturing building. So if you just want to kind of flip through there, you'll get an idea of what's coming. That's it. Yes. Thank you. And you're right. There we go. So Pima, in a traditional year, you know, prior to the pandemic, we serve about 50,000 students a year. About 70% of our students are part-time. Most of our students are working, you know, have families. On average, a student would take 1 or 2 classes a semester. So we obviously cater to, you know, having night classes, weekend classes, whatever works. I've got this figure on here for online. March of 2020, you know, we suspended operations and moved a lot of what we were doing to virtual. In my area, that's particularly hard because you can't really machine online. So we went a couple of weeks, we were able to give students incompletes. And then once we had all of our safety protocols in place, they were able to come back on campus in June of 2020. So we've actually been going for more than a year. This previous Monday was really our first official day back for the rest of the campuses, but arts, sciences, some of the IT, and then applied technology, we've been going for quite a while. But one of the cool changes was, you know, going back to March of 2020, right now, about 1/3 of our offerings are online. We got as high as 45% during the pandemic. We've learned a lot of things. Right in our area, we have some online, but not necessarily up to the quality level of the Pima online group that creates our online courses. So one of the positives has been, you know, machining instructors, welding instructors, building and construction are now working closely with the designers to improve the quality of our online portion. Because students, while, you know, they walk back in and they will say, you know, I didn't sign up for this. I want a hammer and some nails. I don't want to be typing about building and construction. There are some components that they can do from home before they come in and do their hands-on. So we've learned a lot. Other things, you know, the average age of a college student at Pima is 28. If you've heard some of the other folks speak from the college, you know, we talk about the birth dearth. The high school population in this area is flatlining. So that is not necessarily the area where we look for growth. It's upskilling current employees. In my area in particular, the average age is probably a little bit higher, maybe 30, 31. So they're changing jobs, they're coming out of the military. And of course, we do serve high school students that are coming into a new industry. And we are a Hispanic serving institution where our student population is about 45% Hispanic. We recently closed community campus, but we have 5 campuses, mostly up and down I-10, except for East Campus, which is way out. And we have centers all over. This I stole from our Vice President of Workforce Development, but it's important for you to understand the context. I talked about our board and Chancellor Lambert providing so many resources for developing a building like this. But just to give you an idea, the Center of Excellence is more of a mindset, a philosophy. It's not just a building. I mean, if you have a great building and that's shiny, you've got a bunch of new equipment, but if you don't actually change how you're teaching the needed competencies, it doesn't really matter. And so, you know, if you start at the top, industry drives what we do. So we listen to Cade Automation, we listen to GW Plastics or Banner Health, with whatever area. And then our faculty, we have advisories. If you don't know about that, you know, we meet at least twice a year with industry partners. So one of the exciting ones for us has been the automotive advisory. So when I started as dean 8 years ago, the advisory probably had anywhere from 5 to 10 members. Jim Click, you know, they send folks and they kind of guide us on what we do. But at the same time, the high school and JTED had a separate advisory. And so a couple of years ago, we actually joined forces, and now membership is around 70 something plus. Obviously, we don't get everybody at every meeting, but over the last year, probably 35 to 50 show up regularly, and it just helps with the communication. So high schools that are offering dual enrollment at no charge, right? So basically what that means is a high school automotive student is going through a program on site at, let's say, Sunnyside High School. The Sunnyside High School faculty member follows our syllabus. And so the students at no charge are able to earn college credit while they're at Sunnyside. When they come to us, they pick right up with the next class. They don't have to start over. So you talk about, you know, the bullet to the right. We do certainly work closely with the K-12 systems. I mentioned the university. Anybody familiar with the Design Day contest at the University of Arizona for their engineering school? This is pretty cool. So I'll just give you an example of, again, what that alignment looks like. So if you're a senior at U of A in engineering, you have to take engineering 498, which is, it's a capstone class. But the way it's built, industry partners in the local area, and actually out of state too, because I'm thinking about Ball Aerospace in Denver or the Colorado, they will present a problem to a group of engineering students. The students will go around and look at 100-something problems posed by a company, and then they will sign up for specific teams. This is my first choice, second choice. And so you'll have 100-something teams comprised of 5 to 7 engineering students. And then they will work from August until May to design and develop a solution to the company's problem. And then in May, they have Design Day. So the students present, everybody gets to go around. I've served as a judge, which is really cool. So the student, you get some one-on-one time with the students and they kind of explain the whole process. And then they're big cash prizes, up to $5,000, I believe, $1,000 for Design Day, for design documentation. So when you think about a partnership, a couple of years ago, Pima students for the first time were part of those teams. So when a company sponsors one of those projects, they also provide a $4,000 budget. Because if your group is trying to design and then fashion or fabricate a piece that is the solution to the company, you know, you might have to farm something out to a machining company so they can work metal for you. But now that the Pima students are on those teams, our students can do that. You don't even have to farm it out. And when it comes to design, if you're familiar with computer-aided design software, the students in our program, they do a fantastic job. At the university, you might get a screenshot on the wall, or they just expect you to figure it out. But we actually run students through the process. And when it came to the best design documentation for the last couple of years, the team with a Pima student won that award. And it was because of the Pima student. So Dean Hahn came to visit a couple of weeks ago. We kind of went on a tour, shared a little bit about the plans for the building, and obviously he would like more of our students to come to the university. So we're figuring out how we can grow our partnership. But that's an example of what a center of excellence is. We really are a community hub working together with local partners to do the most we can in a space like that. Again, it's just not about the building. One of the big things is we also do a lot of non-credit, right? If you talk about Pima Community College, you're probably thinking, okay, I'm going to sign up for this writing class. I'll be here from August through December. I'll get credit, and then I'll start the next class in January. Well, we take the same content and we can offer it in 5 weeks if that's what the company needs. And then we also build industry credentials around that. So if you're an automotive student, for example, you can go through your basic automotive competencies, but we can also put like a torque certification, a diagnostic. So automotive students in our program, you get to work on a $10,000 diagnostic tool, which is exactly what you're going to do when you get to Jim Click or O'Reilly or Royal. So you get practice, you're familiar with it. Just to kind of give you another idea, right? So we just finished building the new automotive center. Old space was about 10 to 11,000 square feet, really run down. If you're familiar with Fluffernutter, right? That peanut butter and marshmallow mix, that's what our ceiling looked like. The new building is just under 50,000 square feet. It is high tech. We benchmarked a lot of top programs around the country. Our dealer partners helped influence what it looks like. And so the new building is fantastic. Instead of punching a paper time card, students will come in, they'll have an RFID badge. They will check in, they will be issued an iPad, which will be loaded with all of their automotive content, and then they will go to the vehicle that they're working on for that day. Having that mobile device mimics exactly what top dealers are doing. So again, for us, it's the philosophy. What are you doing in the new building? We're mimicking what industry does, and we're leading the country in what our programs like ours do. So we've already had a lot of tours, some in-state, some from out of state. I'm sure once travel gets back to normal, we've already had requests to come and visit. And that's only with one building built. We are building several centers of excellence. The Center of Excellence in Applied Technology just happens to be the first one. There are 4 phases. The automotive building is phase 1. Phase 2, if you've been out to the airport, you may have seen the construction on expanding our aviation center. Our aviation program is one of the best in the country. We just don't have the size to accommodate and produce enough students for industry locally. So Governor Ducey and the legislature, we made a request and they granted us $15 million to double, not just the building, but adding more faculty, more lab specialists. That building is scheduled to be complete in February, end of February into March. Phase 3 is the advanced manufacturing building. Again, if you go to the downtown campus, you'll see all the steel beams are going up. That's scheduled to be completed in Thanksgiving of 2022. And then phase 4 for us, building and construction currently is in about 2,000 square feet in the current building. When everybody moves out, they will take it over and they'll have about 25,000 square feet. You probably have heard there's a real shortage of construction workers as well. So we're doing everything we can to meet that need. And again, high school pipeline is a big part of that. Catering to current employees so we can help them upskill is a big part of that. Of course, cutting edge facilities and equipment, world-class instruction. When we talk about world-class instruction, I'll give you an idea of what I mean. We have a robotics program that was created back in 2017. About that time, Intel in Phoenix announced they were going to be expanding. They were looking to hire a lot more. Boeing did the same thing. Lucid, the electric car company, made that announcement for Casa Grande, working in partnership with Central Arizona College. And then about the same time, Raytheon announced they were hiring 2,000 more over the next 5 years. So that was a couple of years ago. Like I said, 2017. Well, when that happened, Chancellor Lambert, the chancellor of the Maricopa system at the time, and the president of Central Arizona College all came together and said, let's develop a charter for our schools to produce a unified advanced manufacturing program. Familiar with BMW moving to South Carolina, this is going back quite a ways, but you have states like South Carolina or Tennessee where they are uniform. So they can present to a large employer like that, here's what we do to meet your need. Arizona has always been kind of all over the place. So as far as we know, the Maricopa system, the Pima system in Central Arizona coming together was the first that we've seen multiple college districts do that. So we've been working very well over the last few years. The robotics program, we call it AIT, Automated Industrial Technology, but you might have heard mechatronics, robotics, automation. It's all the same thing. Our programs are very closely aligned. So if you leave Pima and move up to Phoenix, it's not even, oh, I need to show this equivalent. No, they will see AIT on your transcript and you will go automatically into their pathway, and we all match. I like to brag a little bit. I think our program is probably better than the others. But that comes down to the faculty, right? So we talk about world-class instruction. The head of our program is completing his PhD at Arizona in aerospace. His dissertation was building communication systems for payloads that are rotating in space, but he recently switched, and now it is about how do you transfer energy on a body that is moving across planets or space bodies using the forces of those bodies to propel the vehicle. Sounds very theoretical, but that's not what he's about. He was actually at Motorola in Mexico when there were 3 employees, and when he left, there were 3,000. So when he conveys robotics competencies such as hydraulics, pneumatics, programmable logic controllers, how do those things work to move a conveyor, move a product through a production line? He does that, but he puts it in the context of what does this mean to the business? And again, getting back to the economic development point, we want companies, right? When site selectors, everyone familiar what a site selector is? So when they're looking at Tucson in comparison to Austin or San Diego or wherever, Denver, we want to be able to show and convey, here's what our students do. They just don't know how to turn a wrench. They get the bigger picture. That's going to be valuable to you. You should move here or expand here. Any questions so far? Kind of just go through that really quickly. I mean, again, we don't just teach regular semester classes. We customize training to meet what a company needs. I always like to do this one disclaimer. Folks are like, okay, well, I'm a taxpayer. Why are you offering that to Raytheon, who's making millions and billions? Why does my contribution help them? When we customize something, companies have to pay a premium. So it's not, they pay the regular tuition and tax based on the taxpayer contribution. We're really focusing a lot on work-based learning. Denise Kingman is the Director of Employer Engagement and Career Services, but she also led the way for Pima to be the first community college in the state to be a sponsor of apprenticeships. And so basically, I mean, cut to the brass tacks, apprenticeships are not easy when it's an official federally aligned apprenticeship. Companies have to do a lot of paperwork. We're taking that on. And Denise has a great team. And so we're able to expand. She's already expanded into robotics, I believe, or the automation with, if you're familiar with LaserTel Leonardo up on I-10, we're working with some of the dealers on Automotive. So it's just a great model because the company gets a peek at how good these employees could be. So it works for everybody. We also do tuition reimbursement. If you know Howard Stewart with AGM, he's a big proponent of Pima Community College, lives it, breathes it, and walks it. So he makes that offer to his employees, and his retention, keeping his employees, I mean, he can provide the data and show it works when you contribute to keeping your folks. I already mentioned advisory committees, just a flyer for the apprenticeships. I'll give you an example of what does it actually look like. So was it 4 years ago, I think Caterpillar's surface mining division moved from the Midwest to Tucson. One of the first things they did was picked up the phone and called Pima and said, hey, we've got these engineers, but they don't know how to do the hands-on stuff. Can you teach our folks how to weld, machine, and prototype? Prototyping is important. What our faculty did, and basically the process looked, we got in the room with their engineers and directors. Our faculty kind of talked to them. Again, you've got folks like Juan who've got industry backgrounds, so they can talk turkey, right? They know what they're saying. Caterpillar offered some stuff. We ordered some counterpoints. They're like, well, it might actually look better this way. Got it all together. And the assignment in the prototyping class, for example, was we want you to develop a small vehicle that can tow a load. If you think about a huge Caterpillar vehicle with a $75,000 tire, you better get it right at the small stage before you blow it up, right? And so that's kind of what we did, and they loved it. So we had several cohorts go through, stopped with the pandemic, and we'll be getting back to that now that things are kind of returning to normal. Now, think about that, right? These are six-figure engineers, 10, 15 years into their career. Now you see why it's important. We're speaking with Dean Hahn. Let's get engineering students at the university level to get the hands-on before they leave. And better yet, let's get to the middle school and high school students. Help them understand, certainly help their parents understand. If you're coming through a high school program and you've got the opportunity to go to Pima at no charge and get the hands-on experience, how much better of an engineer are you going to be when you transfer to the university? We had a machining student a couple of years ago, and I kind of put him on the spot in a room larger than this when I was presenting, and I said, Eric, you finished our machining program. The university did not accept our credit because it's a hands-on program. They kind of see CTE, career and technical ed, a little differently than transferring physics or something like that. I said, do you regret it? And he said, absolutely not. He's like, when I transferred to the university, I was running circles around my fellow students. It was coming out of a book for them. They had not done it. And so he was very successful, obviously, in engineering 498 when he was a senior. But to me, it just kind of makes us feel more comfortable speaking to Dean Hahn about why this is important. And he sees how our students perform in the contest, right? It is fantastic. Eric, by the way, was hired by, if you're familiar with Lincoln Electric, big welding manufacturer based out of Cleveland. So he's been there a couple of years and they've moved him around a couple of places. So it's been fantastic. But this is what we do. And a lot of folks don't necessarily know, oh, I had no idea Pima does that. Probably familiar with Too Simple, the autonomous truck company here. Based in San Diego, they've got some operations in Beijing, but this is the testing area. And I think they're actually spreading. They've spread quite a bit now. So you're looking to hire a truck driver. You're looking to hire somebody who understands sensors and data acquisition, which is how this truck operates, right? The driver is operating it when you get on the interstate or on the ramp, but once you're on I-10 between here and Phoenix, the truck is doing it. And that's just going to continue to spread. So we've got a partnership with them. They actually donated a truck to us last year, I think. So you're getting a combination. And the college, we really do operate as a matrix system, right? If you're talking about economic development, we can't be siloed and not talking to each other. We offered the first autonomous vehicle operator certificate in the country. So you've got IT and business on one side, you've got our truck driver program on the other side, and then you've got the AIT, the robotics automation group, faculty working together. So again, just another example. Kind of already shared the different programs in my division. With these new buildings, we're hoping to double and triple our enrollment. If you're a welding student, our lab is so small, everyone knows you better be up at midnight the day registration opens, because by 12:31 a.m., classes are full. The new building will have 3 times the space for welding, so we'll be able to provide a lot more for students. You know, and it's not always an easy sell, right? Because everyone wants their student to go to a 4-year university. I didn't go to community college. I wish I had, because it probably would have made a difference in what I do, although I've got the best job at the college, so I'm not complaining. But just that idea of you can be a better student if you get the hands-on before you transfer. But we're really excited about the buildings coming. Again, just kind of some of the basics. Industry 4.0 is another big piece of the AIT program. So if you think about wireless production lines, our students are learning how to do that. So we've got an Industry 4.0 system, and there's a wireless robot that will go from one station. So I usually show my phone at this point, like if that's the product that's being heat treated, then it gets stamped, and then it goes to a different area. A wireless robot will stop by the end of the conveyor belt, pick it up and take it to the next station. So our students understand how to design a system like that, how to troubleshoot and maintain and fix it. And that it affects so many different things. Obviously, advanced manufacturing, food processing, healthcare, you can go into so many different areas. And we're doubling that system. We recently received a $2.5 million gift from the Brown Foundation. And that's to expand the Industry 4.0, because that's where manufacturing is headed, and also to develop a drone program. We do, again, computer-aided design. The one thing I'll talk about there, we do a lot. The gift from the Brown Foundation is also in place to help build a brand new additive manufacturing. So a lot of 3D printers. We're doing that in partnership with the university and local industry as well. And then we also do virtual reality and augmented reality. We're looking at this $1 million theater. Typically, if you see VR, right, you've got an individual putting goggles on, going into an atmosphere or an environment. This theater will actually allow 6 of us to walk in with no goggles, and we're all looking at the same thing. So that can affect building and construction, design, engineering. And at the same time, the system would actually let you transfer what the 6 of us are seeing to another room, so they could see the same thing at the same time. So if you've ever been to Raytheon's cave, again, that's kind of like something similar to that, where you can do a lot of design work together. Machining, again, we're improving that. Same with welding. There's a picture, but it's probably better to look through the thing. Any questions? Sir.
Testing. Okay. Please announce your name and your question, please.
I'm Frank Presson here in the main building. And my question is, what percent of the students in your program are non-US citizens?
I do not know that number off the top of my head.
Is there a movement afoot to pick up more people outside the US with your program?
I wouldn't say a push. Before the pandemic, we did have some visitors from China who were looking to kind of benchmark our automotive program. We've actually served a group of students from Chile who came to our automotive program. Our international activity has obviously gone down quite a bit, but and we've actually had students from Mexico kind of do an exchange. We've certainly had students go to Europe, Mexico, I'm trying to think where else. But that's part of just the exchange process. But I'm sorry, I don't know the exact number.
Hello, I'm Kirk Reed. I had no idea all this was going on, and somehow the whole community needs to know what you're telling us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering where the vision came from. It wasn't just one or two people. How did this vision of excellence come about?
When I think back to the last 8 years, 9 years, because Chancellor Lambert joined in the summer of, or became our chancellor in the summer of 2013, one of the first things he really recognized was that the community didn't have one point of contact. And so I mentioned earlier, I stole that circle diagram from Ian, our Vice President of Workforce Development and Strategic Partnerships. Once Lee created that position, there was one person that everybody knew to go to, right? And then he makes sure we're all in connection. So Ian is based at our district office. His team is there, but they work with every single dean and every single division on the academic side. And so when I talk about that matrix piece, but it started with Lee, explaining to the board why it was important. If you read the press, sometimes we do get questioned on, why aren't you serving this community? We're always serving this community, but you've got to look beyond to raise the standard and the quality level and prepare students from this community to compete worldwide. So I think sometimes that's a little misleading when that complaint comes forward that we're looking beyond. I mean, when I benchmarked with faculty automotive programs, yes, we went up to Phoenix, but we went to Seattle, we went to Florida, we went to the Midwest. Who's doing it the best way? We're going to steal your best ideas and then change it a little bit for our local economy and our partners. I still think it started with Lee because the previous chancellor had really did not have a focus on technical programs. And so if you've ever been to our welding lab or automotive, it showed. We did not invest in those areas. So we were not providing the community with the skilled workforce that we need.
I have a quick question about so you said Raytheon and Caterpillar fund some of the programs, correct? And Pima specifically, are they just funding the programs, or they're like helping the students get the engineering so they could become engineers like in Raytheon or Caterpillar, or does it just stop in like machinery or manufacturing?
I can't speak to specifically what those companies do, but again, like Raytheon, for example, we've worked very closely with them over time. So if you're a Raytheon employee, they've got a whole litany of training opportunities and resources that they provide. So when we do the customized training, yes, Raytheon pays specifically for that, but we also have open enrollment classes. So if you want to learn how to machine, I am also aware of apprentices that are coming from Raytheon that are just going through the regular open enrollment, and Raytheon pays for that too. If that helps.
Yeah, I just want to know, like, are you guys ever going to get engineering programs in Pima too, or is that just?
We do have an engineering program. I mean, we are a 2-year institution. You probably heard recently that we now have the ability to do 4-year. We're going slow to make sure we get it right. In obviously working with NAU, U of A, and ASU to kind of align. rather than duplicate or compete with what the U of A or whoever already does well.
I lost our camera. Oh, I believe we have a remote question. You want to bring up the Zoom there from Jimmy? Go ahead, Jimmy.
All right, thanks, Steve. Yeah, Greg, that was a great presentation. Thank you for that. I actually had two questions. One is you mentioned the middle school and high schools. Is that driven by an individual school coordinating with ATI or with Pima College, or is it a district level? And yeah, maybe it's just some of those details, how that breaks down.
Yes, I would say it works at a district level. We work very closely with Kathy Prather and her team. She's the superintendent of JTED. So for example, if you've seen JTED's, their new building by the bridges,
Mhm.
you know, I had several meetings with Kathy and her team to show exactly for AIT, for example, the robotics, right? And they do the same thing. They've got a drone program at that building. Mario, the principal. And so we stay in contact. We shared our equipment lists. We shared our course outlines. So they knew exactly what we were planning. And we're still working together on some new things. I mentioned earlier that our automotive advisories work together. We're now working on the construction advisory, bringing those two together because it works. When you have that level of communication and alignment, it helps everybody. Now there is still some, I don't want to, crossover, right? Because if JTED is serving students up until, or, you know, now that, I mean, juniors, seniors, and maybe the sophomores, we still have students that are coming into our programs that are fresh, have no idea what machining is. So yes, in some instances, we do teach the same introductory level, but we also certainly coordinate on, okay, JTED's going to take them up to this point, and then we're going to take them the rest of the way. But here's another one, Vail, for example. So when it comes to that dual enrollment piece, districts are in communication with us, and then our faculty work with individual faculty at the high school level. Our faculty will go out and visit their labs, kind of review the equipment, and not everything has to match exactly, right? We don't expect you to have the vehicles we have in our brand new automotive building. And before I forget, everybody is welcome to come tour. You've got my communication, contact information. I'd be happy to just come walk you through so you can see. I think we'll start in the Fluffernutter, the old automotive lab, and we'll walk to the new one. It's going to blow your mind. And this building is not even close to what the building that I'm passing around. So it helps. Anybody part of the Tucson Street Rod Association? They do the Rotters Day Car Show. I think they're on their 46th or 47th annual. We have been hosting the show for the last couple of years, and we do it in the parking lot at downtown campus. And to your point, I give tours, maybe 4 or 5 tours during that 6-hour show. And I'll walk 40 to 50 folks through the labs, and not everybody, almost everybody walks out. I had no idea you guys did this. So we're always welcoming folks to come see. It's one thing to listen to me talk about it. It's a totally different thing to see it in action. Jimmy, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. It did. Thank you for that. Yeah, just kind of trying to see how that connects, with JTED specifically. So thank you for that. Now, actually, given the time, I'll pass on my second question. I'll let Tom maybe ask the last question there.
Okay, Tom.
Yes. What percentage of your graduates actually stay here in Tucson? And then is the need for skilled workers met from your graduates? In other words, do you fill all the slots at Raytheon that they need, all the slots at O'Reilly Chevrolet or Caterpillar, or whoever needs these technical people?
I'll answer the second question first, not even close. When you think about, I'll just use aviation, for example, the reason we're doubling the size of our footprint is so that we can double the number of students in the program from 150 to 300, and then double the number of graduates from 75 a year to 150. Even that won't meet the need of local industry. And there was a couple of years ago when Bombardier locally was going through some changes, they were hiring about 95% of our graduates. And then one year they came to us and said, yeah, we're kind of working on some things. We're not going to be able to hire them. So of course we're panicking, thinking, where are our students, where are they going to go when they finish? We had no reason to panic. United Airlines came in, Hawaiian came in, and the students went. So then Bombardier comes back and it's like, okay, we're already starting. It's like, oh, you got competition now. The word is out on Pima Aviation students. But Tom, to your question, no, automotive, any area, met with the lead coordinator who does internships, placing automotive